Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that of NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series playoff racing action, as this is season 4 and the penultimate race of the season for these drivers. It's the last race of the Elite 8 to figure out who's going to be making it into that of our final 4. One driver's already locked in. That's Keith Bradley that won last week, but drivers are getting themselves prepared here tonight as it's the over-the-top Designs 200 at that of Darlington. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Kevin England. And Kevin, we get to see these drivers at the egg-shaped Darlington course. These drivers are certainly all trying to get prepared, but we only know one driver that's moving on to our final 4. There's 3 slots still to be grabbed, and these drivers are looking hungry here based off of practice.
Yeah, Sam, I'm so excited to come to Darlington to make this decision, because this is a racetrack where you slip, you slide, you have a lot of fun driving, and whoever's going to race their way into the championship tonight, they're going to earn their way in. And I am looking forward to an amazing race with these guys, elbows up, and trying to get the job done here to be in the championship next week for the final 4.
Want to give a big thank you to everyone joining us here on that of LSRTV, and a huge thanks to our producer this evening. Usually we have Charles Wooten running the productions, but tonight from Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we have Robert Moyer that's going to be running the cameras and graphics this evening. Big thanks to Robert Moyer and that team coming in here late as Charles Wooten is dealing with an illness. We hope to have him back next week for the final 4, but yes, big thanks to Freaky Fast Broadcasting for giving us the help. Kevin, drivers got a minute left in practice, but this track's certainly going to be an interesting one. Like we noted on that of Keith Bradley, the driver that is coming in with the win after last week. He's going to have all the momentum. He's barely been the driver that's been the hottest streak since we've gotten into the playoffs, but certainly Ted Wade looking good based off of points that he should be moving on and taking that second slot just based off of points to be moving on to our final 4. But this is when things get a little bit more interesting. The final 2 slots, they're just in a difference of about 14 to 20 points, which seems like a lot, but we have stages for stage 1 and stage 2 where there's a potential 20 points to be grabbed if you win both stage 1 and stage 2.
Yeah, for the others to get in, get a win, or it's no holds barred. You got to go get race after every point. Now, Wade, we've seen him have his troubles this year, and if something catastrophic happens early, I don't know how that works out for him. Cinnamon's been fast as of late, but Stephen Thomas, he's been a guy that's been there all season long. And, well, we're just going to have to see how this plays out. The dynamic of it makes it, you're going to have to watch every lap and see how they cross that checkered flag.
There is a few drivers that are in a must-win scenario after Tyler Dittmer missing last week at Richmond. He is now in a must-win scenario, and also Dana Shepard in a must-win scenario. Now, there aren't bonus points to be grabbed here for these drivers, but the pole award, always something interesting to watch. These drivers are going to have 10 minutes to put down their fastest lap, as each driver will have 2 laps to do that without invalidating their lap. But Kevin, I would say this track here at Darlington, just as easy to get an incident point as a road course. And here at Darlington, these drivers got to be careful of that outside wall here for qualifying.
Yeah, it's such a balance of trying to find speed, but not slipping up and tagging the wall here. As you see trucks out on the track, we're 30 seconds in, and they're wasting no time getting in and getting some laps done. And I think that first lap is just going to be a get-acquainted lap. We'll see them hustle that second lap and see if they can put down a fast time and score pole here tonight at Darlington.
And that was going to be James Morris that we're seeing on screen for the 47. Going to be a driver that is looking for just a consistent run, potentially top 15 for this 47 is the goal. You never know, though, Kevin. I mean, we've seen here at Darlington and many of other series the potential chance of being wrecked out of this race very high. Also, with wheel spin, once we get to green flags on the start of this race, could be an interesting spot for these drivers. Start things off as Jose Luis Rivera going to be the first driver to put a time down officially. As here's some drivers that also look fast, the 4. This is going to be that of Adam Newbert, a driver that we know can finish up front, but is his luck there to do so as he gets loose, sliding, and that's a great way to give up at least one of his times for the 4.
Yeah, it could be he just locked it up and wants to try it again. 47 of Morris was up in the wall a second ago. We were riding with him before that. Now we see the 48 up on the pedal here as Richard's trying to put down a good time, and he again gets loose. I think that's an abort move there, where they just don't like to come to green and they kill it off. Long as they don't tag the wall, I think they could reset. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. So just don't tag up that wall. You're okay, and as long as you never take the official green for that lap, you should be all right. And for that of Robert Richard, it's going to be a driver to watch out to see if he make sure he doesn't get into any other issues. As Jose Luis Rivera is still top of the board, but a driver that needs a good run here this evening, only going to be having that of a 29 point lead over fifth place runner of Joey Doucette, Stephen Thomas, who was battling as our driver of looking like the most consistent until Ted Wade kind of took over that crown.
Yeah, crossing the stripe right here. We'll see what kind of time he puts in. 29.707 on the timer. That's going to put him up to the top of the provisional poll right now, and that's good news for Thomas. This is one of those racetracks that you got to be careful, because if you crash and come down to the center, you may not draw a caution. So there's so many different things that drivers have to juggle here while racing this racetrack and trying to beat everybody else.
Here's going to be that of Adam Cantwell, and of all the drivers that missed out on our playoffs, this 63 machine is top of the board of those of the consultation playoff challenge that's going on. And Adam Cantwell, a driver that's looking for some decent speed and will do so with that first lap, going to be third on the board with a 29.816 for the 63. Kevin, this is surprising to see from Cantwell, but this is looking good.
Yeah, he got a good run out of turn number 2. Was able to get back in the throttle quickly, right through the center of 3 and 4. Here he rolls off of turn number 4 up high, right where he needs to be, carrying a lot of speed. We'll see what kind of time he puts through here. It's a 29.963 for that lap, and right now sitting 3 on the board.
Third currently right now is going to duck it low, and looking like it's just going to be that is going to be it for that of Adam Cantwell, as a few other drivers getting on course, as still waiting on Ted Wade, that is Dana Shepard, Chris Cinnamon, as well as Keith Bradley, Justin Lumpkin, to put down their times for themselves. So we'll see what type of speeds they're able to put down and where they'll qualify, as that of Robert Richards currently going for that Blanchard Towing Pull Award.
You see the speed and the bumps going through the corner here. This racetrack, old, it's worn, it's abrasive, it's got no traction. You're really just kind of floating the truck in, hoping it'll take a set, picking up the throttle when you feel like you're not spinning the tires. Down here on the bottom, catch the apron a little bit, slide the truck up to the backstretch. Such a ballet to get a truck around this racetrack.
That it certainly is, as these drivers continue to race around. We're halfway through qualifying. There's plenty of opportunities for these drivers. We're actually going to take a quick commercial break, as we're going to get some things situated on our end before we go green. Big thanks to everyone joining us this evening, as we are halfway through qualifying. When we come back, we'll take a look at where the drivers are going to be set, lines up, and ready to go green here at Darlington for 147 laps for the over-the-top 200. Thank you for joining us on LSRTV. We'll be back in just a few. And big thanks to Freaking Fast Broadcasting for coming in and helping with producing, that being Robert Moyer, as Charles Wooten is dealing with an illness. But we are back here on LSRTV coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. This is playoff racing action as we're in the final minute and a half of qualifying. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Kevin England. And like we said, Robert Moyer helping with productions here tonight. Well, Kevin, we're in the final minute. Right now, it's Chris Cinnamon top of the board.
Yeah, Cinnamon put down a really fast lap, 29.498, at least a full tenth faster than everybody else here. Right now, we seem to be riding with Mr. Dana Shepard, who needs a good start tonight, needs to get some points, and, well, quite frankly, needs a win. 31.174 first lap, 30.069. That's going to put him 18th, and he's going to start deep within the field. He's going to have to climb his way out, but he's a little Jimmy Strong there. I think he could probably get the job done if he's got enough luck go his way tonight.
That's going to be the big thing for Dana Shepard, who is in a must-win scenario. We're only going to be having potentially 23 trucks show up, and for Shepard, he was needing a total of 26, as well as good points in the stage breaks to be even having a way to point that 43 into the next round. And for our championship race that will be at Homestead next week, so all the drivers are recognizing it's go time, and those that we're watching out for going to be Ted Wade, Keith Bradley, as well as Stephen Thomas, Chris Cinnamon, Joey Doucette, Justin Lumpkin, Dana Shepard, as Tyler Dittmer did not show up here this evening. So only 7 drivers aiming for 4 spots. Well, technically we could drop down to only 6 drivers going for 3 spots, as one of those spots was grabbed last week by Keith Bradley. But it's time to take a look here at where the drivers will be starting as qualifying is done, starting to get gridded up as we take a look at where the starting grid will be. As taking that pull award for the Blanchard Towing pull award, it's Chris Cinnamon in the 3, taking that spot with Devin Painter in 2nd, Keith Bradley in 3rd, 4th going to be that of Haney. Ted Wade's going to be in 5th, Robert Richards in 6th, Justin Lumpkin going to be taking that 7th place position, 8th going to go to Stephen Thomas, 9th Jacob Klinkhardt, and 10th place going to be the 63 of Adam Cantwell. Over to you, Kevin, for the rest of the running order.
Yeah, 11th starting slot tonight for Jose Luis Rivera in the 97, Brady LeBeouf to his outside, and the number 9 starts 12th. 13th starting spot for the 26 of Cody Knott, it's Taylor Peacock in the number 81, starting 14th. Adam Newbert, 15th tonight, with his outside is 16 of Joey Doucette in the 16th starting spot. 47 of James D. Morris starts 17th to the outside. In the 18th starting spot, it's row 9 for Dana Shepard, one of our championship contenders. Eric Zimmerman in the 94, going to start in the 19th position. It's outside row 10 for Huck Wigington in the 00. Brandon Bullock, Ed Osborne, and Raul Meza going to make up the end of the field here. All 3 of those drivers not taking time for qualifying.
No time for themselves, but plenty of time for us to watch some great racing here on LSR TV. Again, this is the second to last race of the season, but the last race of the Elite 8 to find out who will be racing for a championship next week. And we no longer going to be worrying about a back-to-back champion, as that Brady LeBeouf was knocked out last round. But here tonight, the drivers are rolling, and Kevin, Darlington, a very tough track for these drivers, going to the track too tough to tame. Certainly this is going to be a difficult night for these drivers as a whole, but we do have stage breaks at lap 25 and 55. How do you think that's going to be changing up these drivers' mentalities here early on?
Yeah, I think if you're looking for stage points, you're going to hammer down right from the beginning. A difficult track to pass. You really have to get a good run off the corner, draw underneath, and be brave enough to outdrive the driver on the entry to corner. I suspect some of these championship drivers are going to have to both play it aggressive and safe, and I don't know how you do that. So it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out.
Well, Darlington usually a track, when you think about it, we always, I always throw out at least saying that you more so race the track than the competitors around you. That could be something that's being changed here tonight, as it could be a mixture of both. trying to get aggressive and trying to make sure you're not in any danger. Chris Cinnamon, driver that's a bubble spot, 4th currently in points coming into tonight. Gonna get our pole award, but he's got some hungry drivers behind him. Devin Painter, Keith Bradley, Keith Haney, Ted Wade gonna be your top 5. Pace truck is off, and we are green for the second to last race here this season. And Kevin, the big thing to watch out for is the wheel spin early on, and Painter's gonna be having the troubles. That outside lane does not get rolling. It's Cinnamon and Bradley that take off on the inside.
Yeah, psyche-wise, you don't want to have problems right from the get-go. It looks like everybody is going to get things sorted out. They roll through turn number 2 to the backstretch for the first time. It's going to be Cinnamon jumping out to the early lead. He's got behind him Bradley and Devin Painter. They're tucked in 1, 2, 3 as they enter turn number 4 and come to the front stretch for the first time for lap 1.
It'll be Chris Cinnamon taking that position. And something I didn't notice until we started and got rolling, it was the teammates all in line. That was Chris Cinnamon and that of Bradley and Wade. All were in that inside lane. They were able to work together so well, take off, and get rolling as one. Everyone's single filed out pretty immediate here. The only passing action that's going on is further back for the battling for 13th position, where we've got some drivers. Adam Newbert going to be trying to make his charge moving forward. Also going to be having that of Luis Rivera and Morris side by side for the 14th position.
Yeah, right now everybody's single filed out. They like to find that ride when you roll into the corner down low in turn number 1. Let the truck drift up to the wall, turn down in turn number 2, get that run up to the back straightaway. And I think everybody kind of understands that's the fast way around here. Really, you're only going to pull out of that rhythm if you're doing what we see on the screen, which was try to make that pass on the inside and carry the speed into the corner like we talked about in the opening.
Everyone's single file out for now, and the question is who's going to make those big moves. And Joey Doucette, a driver that's 5th in points, going to need some bonus points here. Going to be back in 16th place for the 16 machine, and going to be that pink and purple machine that we see in the back, who's just riding currently. Going to see that of Eric Zimmerman get loose out of turn number 4. That's what we've been seeing a lot early on from some of these drivers. Further back is the loose sensation is, Robert Richards gets up to the outside wall, getting his Darlington stripe early.
Yeah, he grounded pretty well over there turn number 4, and he's going to pay the price. So a lot of drivers going to roll by him. You saw the 97 go by, Adam Newbert in the 4, Taylor Peacock, Brady LaBeouf, all taking advantage of that. Jason Cantwell and Stephen Thomas. I have to look, though, out front. These top drivers have driven away from these guys out in the back.
They absolutely have. Here's Jacob Linkhart, 7th place runner, kind of seeing himself in no man's land currently, but getting a good show of Justin Lumpkin and Keith Haney right on top of one another. And it makes sense that we would see that Justin Lumpkin get aggressive here for the 87. And right now, Kevin, I mean, I got to say, for Justin Lumpkin, with the fact that he is seeing Chris Cinnamon, Ted Wade, and as well Stephen Thomas up inside of the top 10. This 87 comes in 6th in points. He needs a big points day, but he is most likely going to have to finish in the top 3 for both stage 1 and stage 2 breaks to maximize those bonus points if he wants to close in on Chris Cinnamon, or might be the goal, close in on Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, and I'm just going to talk about Cinnamon for a minute, and ask you, Sam, to reflect on this. He was kind of just a back marker. Didn't really make a lot of noise. Wasn't running up front. Got the one win with aid from his teammate. Not to take that away from him. He won that fair and square at a plate race. But all of a sudden, he's turned up the whip. Now he sits out front, racing his way into the championship. And he's turned up and upped his game in the last couple of weeks. And really impressed with the advance that this driver has made in this latter part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you think of Chris Cinnamon, usually I would always think super speedway specialist, but certainly after last week's finish in 3rd place at that of Richmond and setting himself in a good spot, 4th in points after not the best bonus points starting him out after last week. Chris Cinnamon certainly is a driver that's getting aided by his teammates even more so, I would say, here this evening. I mean, he's got Keith Bradley, Ted Wade kind of being a buffer. It helps also having Devin Painter in 3rd and Keith Haney. Those are 2 other drivers that are not even racing for a championship. This 3's got a nice buffer on other drivers to really get himself in a good position, at least out of stage 1, if he can win this stage. Again, stage break at lap 25, but I'm really liking Chris Cinnamon's spot to even make it in the Final 4. Now, once we get to Homestead next week, gloves are off for the teammates, and he won't have that assistance anymore. That has really helped him get into the playoffs and get into this great position that he's in right now.
Yeah, and this is not a type of racetrack where teammates can really assist you that much. It almost feels like the final exam was coming and he's just started to buckle down and study for it. To show up here, to grab the top spot for qualifying, to run up front and put yourself in a position for clean air and not make mistakes where drivers are running around you. You're staying out front early on. That just means to me that he's put his nose to the grindstone, and he's here as a serious contender for this championship.
That he certainly is. And, you know, oh boy, there you see Painter getting a little bit close to that outside wall. I think it's something that we're expecting to see as drivers, you know, get some type of right side damage. I mean, the Darlington stripe, very well known of a statement here of drivers getting that scrub mark. But Kevin, I mean, how difficult is it, and how can drivers try to stay away from getting into that outside wall?
Yeah, really early on, it's just a matter of how much you charge the corner and how much you practice. You'll see Joey Doucette making a move there to take over the 13th position, the number 16 truck. He just slid underneath the 97 of Raul Meza out in the back here. But you watch these drivers come through, and it is how close do they run to the fence. You roll down here into the corner, let the truck slide up. You can let out of the throttle a little bit, stay down below that little black seam, and then not charge the corner off and still carry enough speed to keep pace with everybody else. Later in the race, yeah, you're going to run it right to the bleeding edge if you're looking for a position. But for right now, they can play it a little bit cautious.
Well, they certainly can. And, you know, looking at this group, as we're seeing this of Morris, Richards, and Shepard closing in. Dana Shepard, again, in a must-win scenario for that 43, especially if getting 0 bonus points by the end of stage 1. Again, lap 25, we're closing in, coming up to 11 laps to go here at our stage break. But Dana Shepard, certainly a driver that came in as, I think, one of our bigger underdogs just getting into the playoffs, let alone into a position where the 43 is in the Elite 8 here at the end of the season.
Yeah, whatever comes of the season for Dana Shepard, he checked off a couple boxes to get things right. And, you know, if this is the end of his quest for a championship, he still had a really strong season number 4 and can look forward to season number 5.
Certainly can. Season 5 right around the corner for a lot of these drivers. And a driver that's had issues, Adam Newbert, going to be slow for the 4. And a couple of other drivers, I think, got into the outside wall that shot Adam Newbert. Going to be back in 17th. As we see here, Cantwell and others, but there's the heavy damage for Newbert, and was, I believe, right when this incident happened, was right in front of the 16 of Joey Doucette when got in the wall, and actually got contact with Joey Doucette. That 16, if we can get a shot of him, going to be a driver that has slight front-end damage for the 4. I mean, for that of the 16, excuse me. As, oh, there they go, almost 3 wide in front of Joey Doucette.
Yeah, it just looked like Adam missed a turn in on the corner, which is not hard to do in turn 1. The truck did not turn down the banking. In fact, it went up, careened off the banking, turned sideways, and Doucette, no place to go. And that's one of the dynamics of this racetrack. When you're running tight to someone and you're carrying all that speed, someone crashes in front of you, you're really at the mercy of them because you're running at the edge of control all the way through. If you slam on the brakes, running up against the wall, you're going to plow into the fence. And if there's somebody in front of you, you're just simply not going to stop. The racetrack too narrow, too worn, not enough grip, and yeah, paying the price is Adam Newbert. His truck is severely off the pace right now.
Has required damage. We've got to move to the leaders, though. First interaction of lap traffic, and Huck Wigington to the inside, letting our leaders go. Very respectable move by the 00. And honestly, we've been watching Huck Wigington develop as a driver throughout this whole entire season. From the Huck that we first saw in the beginning of the season to now, that is a different driver as the battle for the lead is now on. Here comes Bradley right in the back bumper, but I think teammate play could be setting in as Shepard going to be slow for the 43. Going to be back in 21st position is Dana Shepard, slow, and Kevin, issues for the driver that was in a must-win scenario.
Yeah, what a tough break there. They're not really sure what the challenges are there for him, but Not the way he wants his night to go. Is you look at the top two leaders zooming by, they're running nose to tail. And you're right, Keith Bradley putting a lot of pressure on, but that's a tough break for the 43 here tonight. And he'll have to take his truck in and get some service, see if they can get that thing sorted out.
That's going to be the big thing, is Dennis Shepard getting it sorted out as the battle for the lead. I'm curious, though, if Keith Bradley's saying, you know what, I'm just going to ride behind you for now. Maybe I'll give you these stage bonus points to maximize your opportunity to move forward, to make it into the Final Four. But once the stages are done, I recognize I might be faster than you, and I want to sweep the round of 8 for these races.
I don't know. Every one of these drivers will tell you they'll wreck their mother to win. I think he's just looking for the opportunity to make sure he can get by cleanly. And if he's going to get an opportunity, he's going to zip on by and drive away. Second's good enough for Chris.
And also you got Ted Wade, who's lingering in third. Our front three of the teammates are doing a great job pulling away from the rest of the field. And then Keith Haney in fourth place, a driver that's not racing for a championship. But Kevin, I got to say, for Keith Haney, when he does show up, I think you can attest to this as well. I mean, he is always a threat, but still searching for a win.
Yeah, Haney has shown that he's had tremendous speed on a number of racetracks here. And this is one of those racetracks that lends itself to a long run. And, you know, speaking of Haney, talking about the two drivers that have shown a lot of speed, led laps, done things, Haney and Wade. On the contrary, Haney has shown a great aptitude for long runs. Wade has not. And I have to wonder if the strategy of Wade just kind of riding there, lurking in third, is the change of the guard from the perspective of his fortunes. And, you know, we'll get to find out that report card later tonight when we get to that third stage and a long green flag run.
So one thing with these drivers is the stage break. It's coming here. End of lap 25 is when we'll have our first stage come to a close, as it will be that of the Sim Racer Hub stage break for these drivers. And just cracking into the top 10, needing a bonus point, Joey Doucette getting by Taylor Peacock for 10th place. And now, even with the front end damage and slight contact that he had with that of Adam Newbert, which Newbert back out on track 4 laps down, the 16 needing every bonus point possible, but looks like this is as far as the 16 will go, at least here in stage number 1.
Yeah, one dynamic we've seen here is there hasn't been that much swapping of positions. Almost everybody is in within 1 or 2 points of where they started. The exception to that is Robert Richards in the 48. We saw him get in the fence earlier. He started 6th, is running 15th, and dropped. Right now, where is the 43? Trying to see. Well, he's 1 lap down, running in 22nd.
As the yellow flag is thrown, this is going to be our stage break for these drivers. And that is going to be giving Chris Cinnamon in the 3 going to be taking away those maximum points for himself. Also going to be Ted Wade with some good points to be grabbed, as well as that of Keith Haney, who's not a playoff driver, but that kind of changes things up. A lot of non-playoff drivers in the top 10. Kind of surprising in my eyes here, Kevin, as top 5 looking good with that of Stephen Thomas. 6 is going to be Justin Lumpkin, Devin Painter, Jacob Klinkart, that of Brady LaBeouf, and Joey Doucette going to be your top 10 as they're coming into pit road.
Yeah, complicated entry to pit road here. They prefer to do this under caution, as you see Cinnamon heading down to find his pit box. Runs right up against the outside of the pit wall, looking for his sign. Difficult thing to find here in this narrow and tight pit road. He's going to drop into the 34-foot by 18-foot pit box, try to hit his sign perfectly, and it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for all of them.
4 tires and fuel, and the same strategy going to be given for everyone else as they come in and going to be out of their pit box. We're going to step aside real quick when we come back. Stage 2 here for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Racing Playoff Racing action for the Elite 8. Final race of the Elite 8 to see who's making it to the Final 4. A little bit of a difference happening. Keith Bradley caught up with internet issues. He's trying to get reconnected in, but currently is one lap down. But the teammates still up front. Our Stage 1 winner, Chris Cinnamon, up front as we are green here at Darlington.
Yeah, picking up the pace after the stage break. Not a huge shuffle in positions at this point. Cinnamon still out front. Now we'll see whether or not the second stage other drivers can climb. I think the goal here, Sam, is get yourself up somewhere near the top 5 for that final stint.
Yeah, that's got to be the big thing. Get up front, get the maximum amount of bonus points you can at these stages. Chris Cinnamon doing that for sure as the drivers, the bubble coming in officially at the start of this race in 4th place. And points-wise, with that great run that he just had, that actually is going to be putting him over Stephen Thomas because Thomas did not get enough points. Actually, it's going to put these drivers tied points-wise. So it's going to be a close battle. This stage 2 could be giving drivers a little bit of a closer bubble to work with as everyone's single filed out. Here's going to be last season's champion, Brady LaBeouf. Watching out as Joey Doucette closing in this 16. He didn't qualify as well as that he wanted to, but our third biggest mover of the night, Joey Doucette, up 8 positions in 8th place for the 16.
Yeah, I really believe Joey's got a little something for that tonight. He's been patient. He had that little incident with LaBeouf there, but truck seems none the worse for the wear, and you can run with a little bit of damage here. It really looks like Doucette is the driver to keep an eye on here tonight. Could he be the one that's going to sneak up here and try and contend for a win?
Official biggest mover of the night going to be that of Rule Meza in 11th, and then second biggest mover is that of Brandon Bullock in 12th, up 9 positions. Talk about it, and there's Luis Rivera as well as Campbell going to be mixed in. The driver that, Morris gets shoved into the wall. Watch out, here comes Olsen on the outside, 3 wide. And I was just about to say it. I mean, the driver that seemed to luck out of that was going to be the driver that's usually involved with wrecks, Cody Knott. He survives, but into pit road, ducking down low, going to be Cantwell, who that is not the way that he wanted Darlington, at least for stage 2, to go for the 63, as he has to come in. Meatball flag for Jose Luis Rivera and Cantwell.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to dig out of that hole. It's the 97 is also killed over there on both sides, and suspect that he'll probably go to pit road at some point. Yeah, it's just close quarter racing. That's what's going to happen here at Darlington, and we see him pull off there, and he's going to get that truck wound up and head into the attention of his crew.
As with getting a meatball flag, it's a black flag with an orange circle, and it's require damage. You have to come into pit road 4. And our first official DNF going to be Adam Cantwell in the 63. And expecting with the speed of Jose Luis Rivera into his pit stall, could be calling it a night as well for the 63 machine. We started out with 23 drivers, and if anything, this does not help Dana Shepard or that Justin Lumpkin, who need every point possible as they're 6th and 7th in points. And Kevin, with the field that continues to shrink, it just makes the pressure on Lumpkin and Shepard in a must-win scenario to really do much better. But Shepard already a lap down for the 43. It's not looking good for himself as we're watching the battling right now for that 5th place position between Clinkhart and Lumpkin.
I'll tell you, we were talking earlier about drivers coming on at the end of the season. Clinkhart has really shown a pretty good wheel lately, and he's been in contention. You know, that's how you build into each season. You run out 10 to 15th, then you run somewhere around 10th and 8th, 9th, and you just keep working your way forward. The driver who's done that the best in this final stretch has been this 5 of Clinkhart. He's had a pretty good mount over the last couple races, and right now solidly in that 5th position, trying to track down the 23 of Stephen Thomas, who quietly is also fast and always running in the top 5. That's where we find him tonight, running in the 4th position.
Running in 4th place and looking good is going to be that Steve Thomas. Clinkhart trying to close in on that gap as we're right on board with that 5 machine, and just seeing our front 4 sticking nose to tail, but a different type of top 4. Wanted to give more knowledge on that of the Keith Bradley incident. Bradley under our pacing coming to the start of stage 2, disconnected with internet issues, has reconnected back into the server, going to be total of 2 laps down. But luckily, Kevin, something we were talking about when we first initially saw the 29 out, we see 1 last week, so he is locked in to our final 4, but certainly not the way that he wants to get momentum carrying forward. Is that of Justin Lumpkin making the pass for 5th place? That's a good move by that 83, but closing in is the 16 of Joey Doucette.
Yeah, I think some of these guys are looking in rear mirror to see how the closing rate comes as Brady LaBeouf slides down underneath the 5 of Clint Card. Doucette going to follow him through right to the back bumper. Is LaBeouf going to be able to clear him up off the corner? They're still side by side running down the straightaway. So tough to enter the bottom over here in turn number 3.
For Joey Doucette, he does not want to be involved in another driver's incident of getting into the outside wall. That's kind of what set this 16 back just slightly with Adam Newbert having his issues. They continue to stay side by side, and this is kind of a nightmare here at Darlington, a track that really is not designed for side-by-side racing because of incidences like this. The center of the corner, the drivers just want to close in on top of one another, and you want to maximize this racing surface. Not able to, and oh, that outside wall gets with Clint Card and LeBluff, and now squeezed in is Joey Doucette into the outside wall.
That's about getting as much as you can as he's scraping the right front against the wall in order to drive the truck up and turn it down. That's going to put him under pressure. This is such an amazing battle here. LaBeouf gets turned.
Just spins that of LaBeouf into the wall. Peacock going to be involved as well as Devin Painter. And the yellow strikes halfway through stage number 2 and being our official first on-track incident to bring out a yellow.
Yeah, what do you say about that? Doucette just trying to hustle. He knows he not turn 9. I don't think that's a payback thing. It's just a matter of, I'm going to drive it in as close as I can to you. And unfortunately, they make contact. And you see from the replay here, LaBeouf takes a huge hit down there in turn number 1.
That he certainly did, as see there, just trying to get low. And I think might have been thinking, oh, okay, if I move up, give a bump, that might work out, but just was not able to center off, spins the 9 around, and just like that, I mean, that's one position given to Joey Doucette, but going to be hard contact for Brady LaBeouf.
Yeah, unfortunately, we talked about the inability to stop. Tyler Peacock comes in there, adds insult to injury. It plugs the back at the number 9, shoves him down to the inside apron there. And, well, Brady LaBeouf's race, which was going pretty darn good here tonight after our last couple of weeks of just misfortune, gets turned here on the front stretch, and that's going to be our first official caution as he really knows the truck in hard.
Hard into the wall, and this also gives opportunity for some drivers that actually have gotten involved with incidences to come into pit road. Leading that charge, actually going to be Ted Wade in the 2 coming into pit road for himself. You know, this gives opportunity to test out some theories. Maybe they weren't able to test out during stage 1. How much of tire wear is going to be a big factor for these drivers? They had 4 extra sets in pit road to work with, but it looks like the majority of the drivers that are coming into pit road, it's all for damage repair more than using a set of tires.
Yeah, this is one of those racetracks that if you get a short stint at the end, having fresh tires will make all the difference. So I'm not surprised that these drivers, if they can be, will err to the side of being a little bit stingy.
I'm wondering if you would think about using a set, though. Still in pit road, Devin Painter, Taylor Peacock, still getting repairs done. Jose Luis Rivera, the driver that is decided not to completely DNF from tonight, but still has a lot of required damage for the 97, still in pit road. Adam Newbert's in pit road, but at least Keith Bradley able to get moving. Dana Shepard, and also Huck Wigington of the drivers that are a lap down. Taylor Peacock, Painter, most likely with the amount of damage that they have, could be going a lap down if they cannot get rolling, and it looks like Peacock will be going a lap down officially. Same will be stated for that of Devin Painter.
So as the trucks roll around here under caution, I just wanted to say I'm here tonight with a little bit of a heavy heart. I received word a few hours ago that my father passed away unexpectedly this afternoon, and it's with mixed feelings that I didn't beg off and step out tonight to call the race. But one thing I wanted to share about my father and our family in general is we're all race fans. I spoke to him Monday, and one of the main things we talked about were the Memorial Day race weekend. And he was up there in age and had some health issues, and he loved to work on his hot rod trucks and other things going on right till the day. And it's going to be a difficult week for us and our family. We're going to get together tomorrow and discuss matters and such. But my oldest brother race, my middle brother race, my twin brother races, my nephews both sat time in a race car, followed my father and my uncle who were racers, and it just didn't feel right to sit out tonight and not participate in this. But do know that my heart and head is in some other place at times. But Sam, enjoying calling the race, looking to see how this plays out. And we followed this all season. I just couldn't stay away tonight. I wanted to see how this all plays out for the NASRA truckers.
Yeah, and the whole entire team from LSRTV, we heavy heart. We're with you, Kevin, in any way that we can be. Also from Freaky Fast with Robert Moyer helping us here this evening. We are all here for you, Kevin, and honestly, it is always a blast to have you up in the booth Friday nights with the knowledge that you get. That, like you said, it all started with your father and your uncle, and we are all, thoughts and prayers going out to your family of this
Appreciate
time.
that.
For the drivers here tonight, I know they appreciate that you're here, even with the tough times, and we're hoping that they can put on a show that makes tonight special in a lot of ways. I know for the drivers, it's all about points and making it into the Final Four, but it's more than just racing. As Chris Cinnamon, Keith Haney, they see the Page truck roll off, and we are back to green flag racing. It's Chris Cinnamon and others, and it's a jam-packed mess. As drivers wheel spin, heads hard in the middle of the field. They're scattered as we get back to green flag racing, and some of the drivers further back. Ted Wade, others. It's a madhouse for the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a scary restart for some of these guys. When they're coming and going, one truck up out into the fence. The three of Chris Cinnamon opted for the high line, and good jump. The 78 of Keith Haney spun the tires. That cost him a little time over in 1 and 2, and that's going to let Stephen Thomas jump up there and grab that second position. He gives chase to our leader, and you could see out in the back, it's just a gaggle of trucks trying to get their way. Brandon Bullock in the 17 running strong down there on the bottom.
You got Bullock, you've also got Joey Doucette, and the lap machine. That's going to be Keith Bradley, who's trying to get himself back to being just 1 lap down, who is the first driver 2 laps down, and heavy driving. And for Keith Bradley, this is a weird spot for himself, being a lap down, a completely clean car, and trying to get aggressive, as you've also got the mixture of Ted Wade, who's going to be here and having any type of issues. We talked about it, Kevin. I mean, all that Ted Wade needs to do is just have a strong run for the first stage and second stage, and then he can finish in the top 15. But if he gets knocked out here early in stage number 2, he's not completely secured based on points just yet.
Well, the good news for him is in that first stage, he was able to pick up the points, which gave a little bit of cushion. And it might explain why, if you can run in space, you would do it. And what I mean by that is stay off the back of the truck in front of you, stay out in front of the truck in front of you, and just run in that cushion and run your race. And you said it early, race the racetrack. That's the key to running this place. Sometimes you get smooth laps, you don't get yourself in trouble. And for Wade, he just needs to get to the finish line here somewhere in the top 10. He's going to lock himself in.
Stage points still enabled out there to be grabbed. And right now, as we're watching that at Bullock, see now a new driver behind Bullock. That's going to be Ted Wade taking the 10th place position away from Joey Doucette, which Doucette needing those stage points, the 16. He's losing ground, could be losing even more if Eric Zimmerman and that of Robert Richards starts to close in, which a little bit of a bump given to Zimmerman. Richards has to back off in for the 94. What a save for himself to still be pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, Richards having an eventful night here tonight, as is Newbert, who's right swinging down, trying to see if he can salvage something out of his 20th place running position right now. And I gotta say, over there on YouTube, we say hi to those watching. I asked who's rooting for who out there, and well, I don't know how he did it, but Jacob Klinkart said, "I'm rooting for myself."
Well will say some drivers. Some drivers. Oh
Oh,
no! Cody Knott gets spun around. Ted
uh,
Wade's gonna be knocked around, but it's on the inside of the racing surface. Yellow is thrown as he came back up onto the track, and oh boy! And with the timing of this, that will be the stage. Chris Cinnamon taking both stage 1 and stage 2.
oh, my heart's broken for 26 of Cody Knott. He just can't get a break here. Came off the corner, got tagged, turned the truck sideways, and nosed it hard into the wall. Here you see the replay. Just slid up a little bit into the 5, trying to hustle it a little bit, and then pirouette and down the back straightaway. Not a good look at Darlington.
He survived that last restart and some other incidences, but just not there for Cody Knott at that point. Luckily, still able to continue to run for that of the 26, but the rest of the field into pit road for themselves. And because of this counting as our stage break, all drivers expected to be taking tires and fuel for themselves.
Yeah, pretty sure same verse as the first one. These drivers, tires and fuel. We see 2 drivers stayed out, the 4 of Newbert and the Keith Bradley machine. I think they're both going to look to see if they can get a wave around, maybe hope for a quick caution, or maybe they're still left down and will duck in for pit tires. We'll see this time round. 4 tires and fuel. Service done for the 3. He's down and away, followed by Keith Haney. And a good service one more time for Cinnamon's going to put him out front.
Well, looking at Dana Shepard as well as Adam Newbert and Bradley, I mean, taking this wave around, not the worst thing for Newbert and Shepard, who had actually come into pit road under our last yellow. So they still have decent amount of freshness on their tires. It's Keith Bradley, though, that wants to get back onto the lead lap because he has not got any damage for, when he got disconnected from the server. He was running second, actually looked like one of the fastest trucks on track. So for Keith Bradley, he wants to get back on the lead lap as fast as possible. And like you said, wanting a quick yellow, if possible, to get up front. As it's going to be Chris Cinnamon, that of Keith Haney, Stephen Thomas, Justin Lumpkin, Raul Meza, James Morris, Robert Richards, Taylor Peacock, Eric Zimmerman, and Ed Osborne. Going to be your top 10 running here currently. Well, Kevin, 2 stages down. Big thanks to that of the Sim Racer Hub for being our stage break sponsors. But Kevin, now it's to stage 3. This is what we've been kind of setting up and talking about. The strategies are now going to be thrown out on who's going to get it done here tonight.
Yeah, this is why this track is a showcase, because you race the racetrack. It's so hard to keep the tire wear at bay here while finding speed lap after lap. You have to drive with such precision, and as much as you want to enter the corner the same way every time, roll off the corner the same way every time, it's near impossible. It's just so hard to drive this racetrack, conserve the tires but carry speed. And this is where the showcase begins. Long runs right in front of us. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I like to watch some of these drivers we don't talk about too much. You were just talking about James Morris, right? Maybe this is his type of racetrack. Maybe tonight he's going to excel, get himself a top 5, sneak away, get a win. He's got fans and Zach Hartwick shouting for him out there online, trying to cheer him on. And, this is where it's a lot of fun to watch the second half dynamic of these races.
We are excited to see how the drivers are going to attack this. James Morris having one of his best runs so far this season. A couple of other drivers in good spots. Raul Meza, great run for the 93. Eric Zimmerman in the top 10. Ed Osborne as well, as we're stacked up, getting ready to go green here. So they're coming off of turn number 2. As we're coming up to that of the stage 3 last segment, there's no more stage breaks from here on out. It's based on who's going to win tonight's race. Got to give a big shout out to our producer for tonight from Freaky Fast Broadcasting, that of Robert Moyer, coming in, stepping in very last minute, as our normal producer, Charles Wooten, dealing with an illness, was not able to produce. We found a backup. Again, big thanks to Freaky Fast Broadcasting of Robert Moyer. As my name is Sam Dyer, with me as usual, Kevin England, as we are getting ready to see, could we see someone lock themselves into that of the Final 4? Will it have to be based off of points? Chris Cinnamon, who's won stage 1 and stage 2, he's hoping that the luck continues on. Pace truck is off, and we're green once again for the over-the-top designs 200 here at Darlington, the second to last race of the season. And Kevin, A little bit of a nicer play being shown as we're already getting single filed up.
Yeah, the preliminary stages are over. Now it's time for the prize fight. We'll see this driver streak off to the back straightaway one more time, and we'll find out who's going to come away with the victory. Good run for Raul Meza right now, running in that top 5 as the top 5 running nose to tail out of turn number 4. Big run for Chris Cinnamon, and he has just shown that he's had the speed and the truck to maintain herd over every driver here tonight so far at Darlington.
As right now, seeing our front 4, all of that picture looking good. It's actually going to be that of 5th place runner, Raul Meza, biggest mover of the night. Did not put down a qualifying time, has been patient, working forward, running that of a 37 on the truck, 93 on our ticker. Meza, he's doing a great job of 18 positions from where he qualified.
Yeah, this is where we talked about some of these drivers just love this place. A lot of drivers loathe this track, but it looks like Meza's got a good handle on it. Updating a couple of our championship runners. Keith Bradley, 1 lap down, running in 17th, looking for a caution to see if he can cycle himself out. Right now, he's not in that free pass position. Neither is Dana Shepard, running in 18th, right behind him in the 43. Dana is running out of time here, and he's going to have a contest for this, Sam.
Yeah, and I've also got to say, with the way the points are looking, you might also be able to have to throw that of Justin Lumpkin. Yes, he had some decent points days for himself, but Chris Cinnamon had better stage points for himself. Same for that of Stephen Thomas. That were the 2 drivers that if they had off nights, you could try to steal away those positions. They both have been strong, finishing in front of the 87. And so right now, Justin Lumpkin can be officially moved into a must-win scenario for the 87 that runs in 4th place currently. And watching these drivers run around, it's going to be tough to try to beat out Chris Cinnamon or Keith Haney. Those front 2 have been very quick all night long.
You know, the odds makers in Las Vegas, he 4th in the desperate measures call for desperate times. And we'll see whether or not he can get himself up there in the position. If he's running 2nd with 1 to go and he can put a bumper to it, I would do it. Like we said, wreck your money to get a win, get into the championship. He's still in the hunt.
When going for a championship, you got to do everything you want to get up there. And for right now, where the drivers lie, it's looking good for Chris Cinnamon as well as Stephen Thomas. Ted Wade back in 8th, good enough position for himself. And with Keith Bradley getting the win last week, those are our front 4 looking at the moment. It's Lumpkin that's in the best positioning currently to try to bump out, which could be, I think, with the way the points kind of laid out, it is very close with that of Stephen Thomas and Chris Cinnamon having as good of points as they had. I believe it's still Thomas in 3rd, Cinnamon in 4th place, but with some good buffer over Justin Lumpkin, who came in 6th in points. Joey Doucette only getting that of 1 bonus point of our 2 stage rate stages so far. So 16 technically into this 3rd stage. He's back in 6th in points at this current moment. If we were looking at live points as I'm trying to do them right now on my notepad.
Yeah, kudos to you for that. I don't have the power to put that together right now, so I'll let you carry the call. You know, one thing I wanted to say about these NASRA truckers is here we are so deep into the season, penultimate race, and we still have 20 drivers in. And, you know, we just missed one. It seems like McKinnon was so close to getting to the start. He's sitting over there on the pit box with his driver's suit on, missed the start of the race by 4 minutes, or we would have had another driver in here tonight. And boy, you ever done that, Sam? Just missed getting into the sim before the start? That's so frustrating.
I've done that so many times with official races where I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'll go do this, this, and this. I'll be back right when the official race starts, and you miss out just by a couple of minutes. It's a disheartening feeling. But with the officials, you know, you've got only an hour or 2 you have to wait. But for official league races, you got to wait a whole week. That's going to be frustrating for McKinnon.
Yeah, you just watch the way this race plays out. Some drivers pulling aside, some drivers struggling right now. We're watching the number 94 of Eric Zimmerman look like he had a little challenges there, was able to gather the truck up. Now he's going to pull low and allow the Jacob Klinkhardt truck to go by. Not sure if he's either off the pace or conserving it. You know, one of the things that is strange here, Sam, is some of these drivers may roll over like a dead fish, but later in the run, they'll all of a sudden show up and say, where did that guy come from?
Oh boy, 5th place position. We got to move up to that battle because James Morris playing a little bit of peekaboo with the field, as it's going to be 4 drivers on top of one another, as here comes potentially the crossover move. The 47 getting aggressive for himself, and here comes Ted Wade, as well as that of Raul Meza getting in the mix here, as this is all the drivers from 5th back to 8th.
Yeah, the 47 made a charge on the 48, while the 2 was coming around the 37/93 truck, and Ted Wade right now has turned the wick, moved himself up into 6th or 7th. We're waiting to see where the scoring monitor finds, and he's following in the tire tracks of Robert Richards. As to the guys out front, well, they pretty much checked out, but pretty soon Chris Cinnamon going to encounter a slower truck, the leader coming up on the damaged vehicle of Jose Luis Rivera as they exit turn number 2.
Yeah, there's a couple of drivers, Luis Rivera, and then about that of, looking at, going to be about 7 to 6 seconds ahead of our leader, going to be that of Bradley, as well as plenty of other drivers. So if we stay green, lap traffic could be a big factor for our leader if they don't do what we saw Huck Wigington do, of just go down low and let the leaders drive on by, which seems to be the case for our leaders right now, as Chris Cinnamon gets up to the outside wall. It's go time. Haney going to the outside, trying to go for the win. I mean, for the lead at least here, as Stephen Thomas, he's going to follow right in line. And our top 3 all within a blanket of 3/10 on top of one another.
Well, it sure seems early to turn it up right now, but some of the getting on that right pedal and stomping down there. We saw the 78 of Haney really driving into turn number 1 just a moment ago. He's putting Chase to the bumper of the leader. If I'm Chris Cinnamon, I know I want to win, but I don't know if I want to overdrive the truck and have somebody else come and sneak. You shouldn't really worry too much. And one of the things we talked about earlier, Sam, how hard the drivers are driving in, whether they're coming in, letting the truck drift all the way up to the fence to use the entire racetrack. You can see that 3 is getting a little higher over there, turn 3 and 4, getting right up to the fence. He's got to be careful that he's not tagging it.
And also, we were watching during practice, Kevin, a lot of these drivers were having some massive wrecks. If you just got into one another at the right positioning, you could bring out some big wrecks around one another, as well as if you just get into the outside wall and there's a driver directly behind you. I've already seen that here during the racing action of drivers getting into one another. And if we see our front 3 all wipe each other out in a blink of an eye, it's Justin Lumpkin who's in a must-win scenario in 4th place that would be graciously enough would say, thank you, come again, I'll take this win and make myself into the final 4.
And how many times over and over again have we seen that exact scenario play out? First driver goes, 2nd place truck makes a challenge to the 1st place truck, cleans the 1st place truck out, they collect the 3rd place truck, and 4th place, half a straightaway back, drives on by and scores a win. If I'm Lumpkin, I'm still liking where I'm at, and it is not out of the question for him in a handful of laps to drive them down if he's got better tires.
Absolutely not, as we were actually on board in the cockpit view, got to see that front right damage for Stephen Thomas. That is a big crinkle for the 23. And he's going to have to deal with that for the rest of the night, as the battle for the lead, you see here, lap traffic diving low, getting out of the way is Adam Newbert. But for Haney, he was really thinking about diving it down into that corner, but this is when things get tricky for when we are here in playoff racing action for Keith Haney. Is, yes, Kevin, like you said all night long, you'll wreck your mom for a win. But would you risk taking out a playoff contender to go for a win? Those are those mind, the tugging that's going on at all times of, do I want to go for the win? Do I even risk taking out a playoff driver? Because if you do take out Chris Cinnamon, yes, he's had some great points, but that does not mean that he is fully secured going into the final 4.
Yeah, certainly there would be a rumble in the jungle if that's a... We talked to Keith Haney last. He was on the podium and had that discussion with him, and he said, look, doing is racing for wins here. And if I'm him, wins are running out. There's one right in front of him here at Darlington. There's one next week. That's going to happen when we get to the palm trees of Florida. And, I'm sure he's going to be as careful as could be, but he wants to win this race. No question about it.
Absolutely not, as Keith Haney still rides in second place, staying for Stephen Thomas in third. Top three all within a half second of one another. A little bit of spacing going on as Chris Cinnamon doesn't get the best launch out of turn 4, but some other drivers that have been having some woes here back in ninth place is that of James Morris, who was up front doing well for himself. Some other drivers that are looking for some good runs. Currently, one of the hottest battles that's going on right now, 15th place. It's Keith Bradley, Jacob Klinkhardt. The battle for the lucky dog spot. It's side by side and on.
Yeah, Bradley down on the bottom trying to get to that quick panel. Slow them down. They cannot run side by two. That's just not advisable right now. Bradley going to tuck back into the wake of the number 5 and chase him into turn number 3. Klinkhardt has the upper hand right now as Bradley right up against the fence, mounting a run. See if he can get down here to the front straightaway, catch a little bit of draft, and give him a shot one more time.
But what's bad about these drivers and how hard they're running here, Kevin, yes, they're battling for what potentially could be the lucky dog spot if a caution hit now, but that of Huck Wigington, who's the last driver a lap down, he's only that of 2 seconds ahead of our leaders and is in a position where he'll be going a lap down, and that's 18 seconds ahead of Jacob Klinkhardt is to Huck Wigington. So they're battling what could be for nothing if we get a caution in the next 5 laps or so when Huck Wigington is already passed.
If you're an Adam Newberg fan right now, he's on pit road to get some service. Not sure if this is a planned stop or looking to see if he can get some damage done. Right side tires going on the Millie's Restaurant number 4 as the 00 pulls down. Here's the 81 of Taylor Peacock coming off of turn number 4. I always see the truck sweep wide out of 4 and swing down on the front straightaway. You just can't avoid that, can you?
No, I mean, it's one of the ways that this track is kind of, the way that banking is out of the corner. Everyone's just trying to crank that steering wheel, as you see down low, just getting out of the way is more drivers. That's the 9 of LaBeouf that's looking slow, as you saw on screen. But, I mean, the way that this track, the banking of in the corners, getting back to the straightaway, that a little bit of a hump, it just kicks the wheels out, and as well as with the drivers trying to make sure to stay off that outside wall. Of course, when you grab grip, wherever the wheels turn in, that's where you're going to start heading.
Yeah, sometimes it just shoves you down there and you can't help yourself. But swing down, you just got to be careful. Yellow on the speedway here on lap number 82.
That's going to be 8th place runner Robert Richards. That's going to be having the issues here as he's trying to get back up to speed and not wanting to take out Bullock. But that's going to bring out our 4th yellow of tonight. Second on track incident to bring out a yellow. This is getting, I would say, decently close to when drivers might want to think about making their final stop, as they do have 100% fuel load. So this is right around that window, as into the outside wall out of the corner of turn 2, and then going to be staying low, trying to stay out of that inside wall. And just a great showing of, after the first initial contact, of Robert Richards trying to make sure he doesn't get involved in any more wrecks.
Yeah, it takes a lot of control to just lock it down, and do what you can to stay between those barriers. You got a lot of racetrack here at Darlington. That doesn't mean that it's easy to do, and he did a decent job trying to stem any further damage. And you say, why would a driver plow the wall? It's so easy to do here. We saw before the 4 missed the turn in out of turn number or into turn number 1, and there we saw Robert Richards just flat miss the turn out. Sometimes you try and hustle the truck so much and it just won't turn. It's going to hit. You almost close your eyes when it comes there.
Yeah, it gets to that point of no return. You're just like, well, this is what we're going to do. You got to deal with it, as James Morris deciding to stay out, as Keith Haney, a much better stop for the 78. He's actually going to come out ahead of Chris Cinnamon here.
Well, and we'll have a new leader, I think, for the time here tonight. Is that? Do I have my stats right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's officially, that is it. And looking back at the stop, just seemed like he came in and just was not a quick exit out of his box. And Keith Haney, much better for himself. Almost lost second place on that exit for himself.
Yeah, all those pit stop cycles, they're funny even under caution. When you hit the line, get down into the box, the time to get stopped, where you stop in the box, and how fast the crew can get. It was funny the other night I stopped to the outside of the box and I could watch the team come around and they actually had to go out further and I was in the pit longer and lost 2 positions. So all that stuff's modeled in the sim and it just might have been where he stopped in the box that could have made the difference. But Keith Haney picking up the lead on pit road, his pit crew getting it done here tonight at Darlington.
It's done and now going to be up front. Can the 78 defend and do well? It seems like watching whenever we get into a quote unquote long run, Haney seems like he is the faster of the three drivers that are going to be up front for this restart. Questioning on how fast they're going to be on this go. Certainly going to be a question mark for myself, but a driver that we were harping on, having a great run on our last restart, the 47, excuse me, of James Morris, had to make an extended time on pit road, going to be back in 14th place, luckily still in the lead lap, and Buck Wigington taking the lucky dog spot for the 00, as now it's going to be that of Keith Bradley, Jacob Kinkart, 15th, 16th position on this restart, and we'll be duking it out on who's going to get that lucky dog spot if we get another yellow.
So everybody gets a little bit of a breather here. Mentally, everybody's trying to do the math on what it takes. Do they have fuel to get to the finish and whatever other considerations they're trying to process as they ride around here at this racetrack. How's the race gone so far? Did they run too hard in that sprint? Did they run too soft in that sprint? All that stuff goes through your head as a driver as you roll around here. It's such a busy time, you would think, in a time when you're just kind of rolling around here under the pace truck.
Rolling, waiting, and now getting set up here as the drivers are stacked up. Lights are out. It's Haney, Cinnamon, Lumpkin, Thomas, Meza, Wade, that of Bullock, Osborne, Richard, Zimmerman, your top 10. Pace truck's off, and we're green once again for the over-the-top Designs 200 here at Darlington. A clean start for our front two. It's a battle for third. That's still side-by-side in turn number one.
Rolling out of the corner to the backstretch one more time. Everybody's just hoping it's clean and green. Everybody gets settled in. Let's not get crazy here, boys, as we roll through one more time. Looks pretty good for a restart, as well, the answer is there. Haney going to lead him out of turn number 4 and bring him back to the stride.
Looking good for Haney currently, but how much does he want to just hold off the 3? Getting Rose reports in the fact that these drivers are recognizing it's go time for themselves, and
now that we're spinning down there on the apron.
Oh boy, and that's going to be Robert Richards once again. And he'll finally get rolling for that 48, and that's big issues for himself. But as he continues to get rolling, as there's no oncoming traffic, pass for the lead went down. Chris Cinnamon able to get by that of Keith Haney, and Haney now going to be in positioning to try to hold off the 23 is Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, a bit of a power move there. That is a good story for the 3 of Cinnamon to be able to drive around. Now, we can't forget these 2 are teammates, but there's no points for leading the most laps, but it sure feels good to get out there in clean air and drive away.
Oh, no. We have big reports for drivers outside of our front 4. Joey Doucette had to come into pit road, misjudged pit entry, ran right into the water barrels, had to take a tow. The 16's hopes of making it into the final 4 look like they are now snuffed.
Oh, that's such a frustration and to such a great season for the 16. And, well, you know, he showed up here tonight, tried to give it his all, and that's the way it goes sometimes. And he'll just have to go back and see if he can win the season finale and put an exclamation point on the season.
And now it's going to put that Justin Lumpkin, the only driver that is outside of our top 4 in points coming into the night's race, that could try to steal a position away. And looking like that only position would be either Chris Cinnamon or Stephen Thomas, that are both running in front of the 87 at this current moment. And Lumpkin has to get the win. Too many bonus points were grabbed by that as Stephen Thomas and Chris Cinnamon. Lumpkin's got a lot to deal with, but he is still an arm's length if he wants to try to make this challenge to make it into the Final Four.
Still a lot of laps to go here. I know the laps tick off pretty quickly, but with 50-ish laps to go, anything can happen. We've seen that caution for the 48 spun down there. No caution for him in particular, but let me reverse that, try that again. We saw the 48 spin down there with no caution is what I meant to say. And Sam, we've talked about it here. You can spin off, get problems, and never draw a caution because you're down off the racing surface. Something unique about this racetrack. And for the rest of these drivers, they just have to keep in mind, they're still racing the racetrack. This is Darlington.
Yeah, this racetrack, I mean, we've seen it plenty of times. Blink of an eye, you could be finding yourself into the outside wall, have required damage. You could, bounce off the wall and run into another driver very easily, or you could do what we just, got reports from Joey Doucette, run into the water barrels coming down into pit road. Very easy to make those simple mistakes, as right now it is all on the line. Who's going to be making it into the Final Four? We only know one driver that's officially locked in, and that is going to be Keith Bradley, who's the animal, has done a great job this season keeping himself out of trouble. Chris Sitterman's been looking good based off of winning stage 1 and stage 2, maximizing his bonus points. Now it's all about maximizing the finish here tonight. Ted Wade might not have had the best of points day for himself, but the two came in as the most points out of everyone else. Had a great buffer of over 20 points over Chris Cinnamon, and then even more over Joey Doucette and Lumpkin. So I would say, with the amount of drivers that are knocked out of this race, we could say Ted Wade is locked in to move into the next round.
Yeah, it's too early to call it, but the way this is shaping up, Wade is in. Bradley, of course, is in. Cinnamon's been running up front all night. And Stephen Thomas is the benefactor of problems for Justin Lumpkin, Dana Sheffert, Joey Doucette, and Tyler Dittmer not being a show. So as we get a little bit closer, solidifying a little bit, and well, we'll just wait. You cannot count this until it's absolutely done. Looking on the screen there, the 42 of Ed Osborne running in the top 10. Good run for his Ford tonight, and he is tracking down the number 17 of Brandon Bullock, running in 7th. Both of those drivers having a good show here at Darlington.
I mean, come to the end of the season, some of these drivers, maybe they're not running for a championship. Maybe they're not even in like the contenders windows of not making the top 16 in points, as Bullock gets into the wall, and there goes Ed Osborne making the pass for 7th place. But sometimes when you get to the end of the season, we don't always talk about the momentum of the end of the season and seeing if you can carry that momentum moving into season 5. Again, this is season 4 for these drivers. We are not going to be seeing a driver go for a 2-time championship in this series, but we are going to see a first-time championship winner going into next week, and this is when things are kind of exciting to see who's going to win this championship, and the potential of a rookie winning the championship of Ted Wade. It's also there, as the 2 has been Mr. Consistent, and some of the rookies that showed up this season, Kevin, it has been spectacular to see how well they have been performing from the first race to now.
Watching the 47 of James C. Moore trying his best. He's running in the top 10. He wants more. Duck low, try to go down underneath, and he's going to make contact with. Oh my gosh, they're playing bumper cars over there. How they straighten it up, I don't know. But Morris is going to sneak into 9th. He's going to relegate Zimmerman to 10th, and yeah, I suspect there'll be some post-race conversation about that one.
Sometimes you get to Darlington, you get fed up with the drivers next to you, and you have to use them as your brake instead of actually using the brakes at times. And Eric Zimmerman getting the worst of it. But at the same moment, with them being bumper cars for that quick second, here comes Taylor Peacock, who's coming in with speed for the 81. He might be taking a quick 2-for-1 with seeing Zimmerman and also Morris get so much damage off of one another.
Yeah, for Peacock, he just needs to breathe a sigh of relief here. Wait, he knows that truck in front of him is damaged and rattled. No use in provoking him into something. Set the pass up like you're supposed to. Race the racetrack and get by cleanly. And we'll see whether or not, with the run he's got right now, he's going to draw down underneath. Going to turn number 1, and that's textbook pass here at Darlington.
Taylor Peacock now up into the top 10. Zimmerman back to 11th. And currently right now, 13 drivers on the lead lap as Robert Richards, who almost brought out the most recent incident, going to be back in 13th place, still in the lead lap here, Kevin, but we're now within 100 laps have been put down. We're in the final 47, coming up to 46 laps of this race. And the picture's starting to get a little bit clearer on who could potentially be those final drivers to move into our final 4. But like you've been saying, it's a long race. You never know what could happen, especially even on the last lap, you could throw this race away.
Yeah, we look at the scoring pylon and you see that Cinnamon has not been able to shake Haney. Haney just riding it. Stephen Thomas lurking right back there just a short bit. A little bit off of those two. Justin Lumpkin looking for a way to leapfrog all of them, see if he can sneak away a win. And then you slip back a little bit further to Raul Meza and Ted Wade and some of the others. Now, you were just talking about our talented rookie crop. I don't want to jinx him. I don't know if I even want to mention the 2 tonight and how he's just not been in the picture whatsoever. I suspect, and this is the odd thing about it, he must know he has enough points, but he's just not been fast here at all or in the picture, Ted Wade. We're used to seeing him running in the tire tracks as the leader, if not leading the most laps all season long. It's been a supremely quiet race for the number 2 here.
I mean, could you even say it's been a quiet, just overall the playoffs for Ted Wade? He's been so under the radar compared to the regular season where he was just got almost he had the most poles out of everyone else in the regular season, came into the playoffs, expected him to win a couple of races, and he got one. But I mean, it's really been Ted Wade just being, like we said, consistent and getting those bonus points when needed, as well as carrying in those bonus points from the regular season that's helped him be placed first in points coming into the night. But Ted Wade, I mean, next week, it's not about based on points. It's about where you finish for the final 4. And if he makes it to the final 4, he's got to find some extra speed for Ted Wade if he wants to win that championship, as well as he's already, I think, won the Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, we're going to have to ask who is the favorite going in for the championship race. I'm putting my money on the 2. The reason being, the racetrack next week is a fast racetrack. It's just fast through the corners, it's fast off the corners, fast down the straightaway. It has multiple lines. And if Wade does what he's done all season long, get a good qualifying run, he has the most poles, lead the most laps, he's led the most laps all season long, and just, try to keep these guys at bay, I think there's a championship to be won. Now, that being said, let's not worry about next week. Look at these top 3. They're running nose to tail right now with Thomas pushing the 78 of Haney, who's pressuring our leader as they approach lap trucks. Sit forward in your seat, folks. This is going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be Zimmerman ducking low. No, he doesn't. Comes back up into Cinnamon, blocking the leader. Wants to stay on the lead lap, won't be able to do so. And now going to be in between first and second place is Eric Zimmerman. And then right in front of them is drivers that are side by side, Huck Wigington and Robert Richards. And Taylor Peacock having issues out of turn number 4. It is on. Who's going to make it through? Thomas able to get down low. He'll try to sneak on by and split the middle of the drivers going a lap down. And Thomas not able to. He gets trapped behind Zimmerman. And the teammates skate on by as Thomas loses ground.
He's still not going to get clear of him. He's going to get...
and it's still dangerous. Peacock and Robert Richards make contact in front of Cinnamon. And now puts Cinnamon in a quick, tricky spot as Peacock goes into pit road. But Cinnamon, now he's going to have Robert Richards, who I don't expect to lay down. He'll try to stay on the lead lap if possible.
Interesting strategy for the 81 of Peacock just to call that out. I think that is the best way to get the advantage is to go get fresh tires, get your final set. See the 48 wiggle, nervous for your leader as he rolls down underneath. He wants to get clear of him quickly. Didn't do it. But now he's going to get clear, and Haney's going to have to find his way around.
Oh, Chris Cinnamon playing a little bit of peekaboo. He might be disappearing. He has not come back. He is not back. Chris Cinnamon We've seen other drivers have internet issues. Chris Cinnamon, who took that at stage 1 and stage 2, he's got to bank that he's got enough stage points because he is gone and at the potential of going a lap down after dominating this race. Haney's still being blocked by that of Robert Richards as the battle for the lead, trying to get by the lap traffic, is on, and now Stephen Thomas is closing in on our leader.
Oh, I am absolutely heartbroken. That is such a terrible story for Cinnamon, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this 48 truck here. Why he's racing the 78 so hard. Bang! Into the wall. Here comes Thomas. Got to be loving that, as he's going to sneak by a lot easier than Haney did. Thomas on the prowl to second.
Now Justin Lumpkin's going to be in third place. The question is, if Chris Cinnamon could get back into the server, how many positions will he lose? Because currently right now, we've got 16 drivers on track, and it'd be 16th, 17th, where Chris Cinnamon would lie if he continues to go down our leaderboard as we continue to stay green. Chris Cinnamon, who won stage 1 and stage 2, and I didn't want to bring it up because it was going to be some bad juju, but it strikes again. A driver that wins stage 1 and stage 2, I believe here, Kevin, I could be wrong on the stat, but they have not been able to get a good finish at the end of the races. It's been some bad luck striking again for drivers that do successful for stage 1 and stage 2.
You just could not have forecast the way that went, and I can only imagine Cinnamon, wherever he is, just absolutely crushed and devastated at the turn of events here, leading every lap for the first part of this race, in command of the event, and going to drop out. He's going to come into next week if he doesn't make the cut here tonight, just absolutely frustrated at the fact that his season is going by.
18 points was the difference between Justin Lumpkin and Chris Cinnamon before you put in the stage bonus points and the points that will be gained from where you finish. Lumpkin needs to make sure that he's further ahead, and technically with the bonus points that Chris Cinnamon grabbed, Cinnamon in 17th place is still good enough. He grabbed enough bonus points from stage 1 and stage 2 win and had a big enough gap going into this. Lumpkin still in a must-win scenario if he wants to move on to our final 4.
So I don't know how this is going to come through, but I'm going to knock on wood that these drivers right now seem to be very courteous. They understand who's leading, who's running up front. Several drivers stricken with problems and such are yielding the way to the leaders, letting them race for the finish here. And I'm going to make a guess, a prognostication, if you will, that they're going to run green to the finish. And now you look at someone like Lumpkin running in third. If he wants to win this race, perhaps he could try an alternate strategy. The worst thing that would happen, pulls in, yellow comes out, and he's a lap down. But if he could split the difference tire wear wise, find a little more speed, that might make the difference, Sam, to be up here with these top two when the finish comes, steal away a win.
Stephen Thomas also had more stage bonus points than Justin Lumpkin. Lumpkin, if he is going to move on to our final 4 and race for a championship, has to win for the 87. One of our drivers that had to be a dark horse coming into tonight, going to be in third place currently, but the big thing that's hurting him is he is 5.5 seconds back from our leader and still mired behind this 48 of that Robert Richards, and he has not been able to get by Robert Richards for a while, and this is really what's been costing Lumpkin so much time, is because the 48 is not being just laying down and giving up positions, as you see the lap car get into the outside wall in front of Lumpkin, which is going to cause him to back off on pace and lose even more time to Keith Haney and Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, for Robert Richards, if you're wondering what he's doing, he's the first truck 1 lap down, or at first truck. Boy, sometimes my mouth and my brain do not connect. The first truck that is 1 lap down, chasing the Lucky Dog truck of Bradley. If he can catch him, he gets to the Lucky Dog, and that's a free pass right to lead lap stint. So, you know, when you are running for that Lucky Dog position, you're not going to give any quarter. You're going to run as hard as you can. It may seem strange to us, but racing mentality is maybe somewhere, somehow, some way, I'm going to catch that truck that's a lap down and get back to the lead lap. and get myself a decent finish. That's what you're thinking the entire time you race.
And more drivers have actually trickled into pit road. Going to be Ed Osborne, extended time into pit road. And as we were talking about, that of Keith Bradley leading the way in that lucky dog position, giving up the spot was going to be Lumpkin being able to take over the positioning of Robert Richards. Well, the game is on. Keith Haney, Stephen Thomas, within a half a second for our leaders, and lap traffic's been the biggest factor for those two, and they are now closing in, like you saw there, closing in on some drivers that are trying to stay on the lead lap still of Bullock. But Ted Wade, fifth place runner right now, kind of in no man's land, but is in fifth place, and Stephen Thomas is hitting pit road.
Thomas got to go to pit road for what will be the last set of tires if we stay green. He's going to go down, and I have to imagine, even with the opportunity to take 2 tires and save a little bit of time on pit road while you pack it full of fuel that you need to get to the finish, all of these drivers are going to want 4 tires and fuel. It's a long way down to the pit road spot for the 23, but he finally finds his pit spot and drops right in.
For some of these drivers, they're going to be 1, 2, potentially even 3 laps down if you're not careful on how far back you are from Keith Haney whenever he decides to come in. Haney now into pit road. Lumpkin stays out for an extra lap. And for Lumpkin, I would imagine he knows he's going to be giving up at least 2-3 seconds over our leaders, but Lumpkin gets into the wall as Huck Wigginton comes and gives pressure to our leader, and that damage isn't necessary for himself.
4 tires and fuel for Stephen Thomas. One of the other things we've not talked about is do not, under any circumstance, speed on pit road. If you've got to go back to pit road for any penalty, you're toast. Your race is done. Stick a fork in you. Justin Lumpkin picks up the lead here. You have to wonder if a caution came out, would it be to his advantage or disadvantage? I can't imagine he's going to run all the way to the finish with the fuel that he's got. I believe he's got to go to pit road one more time.
Yeah, he's going to have to come into pit road, but Lumpkin, here's the thing, staying out is his only option. You talked about the different strategies that the 87 was going to do. Well, he's going with the very risky call of hoping for a yellow to strike. It's only happened 2 times here this evening of on-track incidents, bringing out a yellow, and we talked about this, Kevin, before and during some of our commercial breaks. This is a very difficult track to get a yellow to come out, especially when the field is this spaced out between one another.
But you have to think of it this way. If he could stay out for a while, maintain the lead, wear the tires out as much as he can, but maintain pace, and a yellow comes out, everybody else may have made their bet, going to stay out. He can drop in for fresh tires. That is a threat for a win. So, there's an alternate strategy, which is stay out as long as you can and have fresh tires for the finish.
Oh, and Lumpkin into the wall again, and that's going to be putting Stephen Thomas back on the lead lap. And that could be the nail in the coffin for this 87 on his chances as, Dana Shepard get a little frisky with that of Stephen Thomas. We'll see if Haney's been able to get by, but Stephen Thomas with getting by Haney and with the pit stop strategies, Haney with the 1 lap advantage for the 78. He's trying to run down Thomas here as these drivers, lap traffic's been the hard thing for themselves, but still needing to come to pit road. We've got 4 drivers, Justin Lumpkin, as well as Bullock, Keith Bradley, and then Dana Shepard, all still needing to come to pit road as we're riding on board with that of 5th place runner, but expected to be 2nd place once the pit cycle goes through of this Keith Haney.
Yeah, we just need to document that Thomas out in front of Haney right now with a reasonable lead when this pit cycle goes through. It is going to be Thomas out front. And, well, what good way to get to the championship but win your way through it.
Lumpkin gets spun by Morris as drivers were trying to get by. He continues to stay straight, but our leader with heavy damage. Here comes drivers driving on by, and he's got himself over that of a 17-second lead and more over Bullock, but it doesn't matter anymore as drivers getting side by side. It was bound to happen, but it's going to be our leader of Justin Lumpkin, heavily damaged even more than he was before. And Kevin, I would say with how damaged this 87 is, even with a pit stop and a caution coming out, he would need Haney and Thomas and others to be wrecked out of this race for this damaged 87 to win.
Yeah, that truck looks severely off the pace as he goes by here. He looks like he's about two-thirds speed, and he's just limping around the racetrack at this point in the 87.
And just like that, unfortunate events have struck in every driver that was outside of our top four. And for that of Chris Cinnamon, he is back out on track for the 3 yellow strikes, though. And it's going to be seeing drivers not expecting to see this yellow strike, but this changes everything.
There you go. He stayed out, and he got it. So now, I still think this is going to just ultimately, and I hate to say it, cycle back to the same way.
It's going to be Robert Richards. It's going to be the driver that brought out this yellow, and he went for a ride, as we'll see here. Kevin, how much have you been keeping up on SpaceX and just going up into space recently? Because that's what this 48 showed us.
Well, let's see what kind of air he gets. We'll see if we can give him a 1 or a 10 or somewhere in between. Let's see.
Where does he lie?
Sideways.
Grabs it, and whoop.
Whoa, little sparkle fly.
And with that contact, he left the server and was done.
How about that?
And Robert Richards going to bring out the late yellow, less than 20 laps to go. Justin Lumpkin, Keith Bradley, both going to be back. I mean, for Keith Bradley, he's back on the lead lap after his woes of going 3 laps down because of internet issues for himself. He'll be getting 4 fresh tires, getting back out on track, and we'll have for that a Lumpkin, Bradley, Bullock, and as well for those 3 drivers, they're going to be on the lead lap and going to be having at least anywhere from 5 to 9 lap fresher tires than the other drivers that are going to be staying out of Thomas, Haney, and also that of Rule Meza and Ted Wade.
I have to say that it looked like a magic trick when his truck disappeared and the little sparks came on. Now, Lumpkin, let's come back to him. I have a feeling that his fate is pretty similar to where he was before. He's going to have to stay in. He's going to have to get the damage fixed. That means extended time on pit road. He's going to come out tail end of the lead lap. But him staying out, staying in the fold, keeps him in the race. And that's all he could ask for at this point.
And reports came in, Robert Richards, because of the way that his car slingshot back and went up in the air, the believe also could have been the amount of incidents that he had grabbed, disqualified from this race is the reason for that of Richards, which makes sense. He's been involved in a lot of wrecks, heavily damaged was that 48, and the physics of getting latched into a wall, that can give you a multitude of incident points and can cost you on the night. So Robert Richards is going to get a DNF, which bumps up Chris Cinnamon to at least get 1 more position for himself before this race is over. And again, solidifies Justin Lumpkin has to win if he wants to move on into our Final 4 as watching the 87 back into pit road as the drivers continue to stay out. But only 7 drivers on the lead lap here, Kevin. I mean, it's still possible for Lumpkin, but he's going to need a lot of luck to get into our Final 4.
He's gonna need a lot of luck. Oh, sorry, that's my musical Tourette's. Lumpkin is searching for his pit road down there, going to get some more damage finished. You see Brady LaBeouf back in the race after getting his service done. And, you know, for Lumpkin, if he can get his truck fixed and make it competitive, you just can't count anybody out. And you have to root for the underdog here. So we'll just keep an eye on that story. But out front, what a change of event for Thomas. He beat Haney off of pit road. Now he's in command of this race. The question is, does he have a fast enough truck, even Steven, to be able to keep that 78 pay? Or is the 78 going to come around and score a victory here tonight at Darlington?
You know, because we were waiting on Keith Bradley to get back into the server, I never really got a good chance to look at this 29 car who's going to start in 3rd with the freshest of tires, everyone here, and the cleanest truck of everyone here. He's actually got the Muppets Animal on the side of this 29. Keith the Animal Bradley certainly is my favorite driver to look out for. Before he got disconnected and was put 3 laps down, the 29 was looking like the fastest driver of the night. I mean, he's got to make sure that he beats out Lumpkin so that Lumpkin doesn't knock out his teammate of Chris Cinnamon out of a playoff opportunity. You might be telling, if you're Haney, Thomas, if you're any of these drivers up front, you got to be concerned because we've only got 7 drivers on the lead lap. Might get another quick caution, but this is the last race before our finale. The last race of the Elite 8 round. Who's going to make it to our final 4? It's time to find out. Keith the Animal Bradley's the only driver that's officially locked in. 3 other spots to be grabbed, and we are green for the over-the-top designs 200 at Darlington. And Bradley is on the move for the 29.
Yeah, he looks like he's on kill as he draws to the outside of Haney. They're side by side in turn number 1. Disposes of him. That sets chase for Thomas. He's going to do it right here, maybe. He's got a good run down the back straightaway to the back bumper. He's almost physically pushing him. Looks to the inside. They're side by side into 3. And he's going to drive to the lead over there in 3 and 4.
That right there as they continue to stay side by side. Oh, no. Contact. Watch out. Don't want to do that as Bradley's got to be contact and dealing back to Haney. Haney backs off. Bullock backs off. And Thomas survives for a couple of more laps. But that could have been the big one for our leaders up front if we had seen Keith Bradley keep on the throttle on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, you just scooch up in your seat. You know how bound up the truck was on the bottom.
It's Justin Lumpkin and Dana Shepard as well as that of Rule Meza all going to be involved in this one. As we stay green, they're under the racing surface. And that is going to be it for Justin Lumpkin. Too much damage. He has to come into pit road for required damage. And for Chris Cinnamon, he loves to see this as we're coming up to our final 10 laps here in just a couple. And Kevin, that you hate to see for Lumpkin, who was trying to get aggressive in the middle of portions of this field, and too much aggression, caught up in a mess.
Yeah, gosh, what a terrible way to put the end to that exclamation point. But we got a race still going on up front here, and it's a good one. Haney giving chase to Bradley. Bradley wants to put another win in the win column. Thomas trying to hold him at bay. Thomas slips up a little bit. Here comes Haney or Bradley to the bottom. Bradley is just all over Thomas trying to force a mistake.
Well, for that of Stephen Thomas, he's got to figure out how to stop that of Keith Squared, which is Keith Haney, Keith Bradley, that are on the tailpipes of the 23. Is it once again almost a similar strategy? Kept it off the throttle, and Bradley stays close. But now Haney might be thinking about sticking his nose down below. These are, for Stephen Thomas, he's fine. Lumpkin's out of this race. There's no reason to not feel like, I might get bumped around here. But big picture, go for the win. Here comes Bradley with the best launch for himself. We're going to be side by side in turn number 3.
He draws even in the entry to turn number 3, right down on the seams on the bottom. And he hold the truck tight. It slides, it slips, it comes off of 4. Unable, he loses a little. He's going to be able to drive away. Tucks back into slipstream to cover to keep Haney at bay. But that 29 of Bradley is on the charge. He wants another win here tonight before this is all said and done.
And that's the kind of the beauty of Darlington. You can take up so much of this track, and that's how you maximize defensive moves. Stay high on entry. You force the driver behind you. You have to go down low, and they just can never get that launch out of the corner because there's just not enough space. For Stephen Thomas, he's trying to get to victory lane, get that momentum. And these are probably going to be the 2 drivers I've got my eye on to win the championship going into next week, unless they wipe each other out. As there's the beautiful pass. Will there be a crossover move? Not able to. Thomas just can't get back into the throttle. Those tires too worn now.
Yeah, Bradley just showed no prisoners at that point as he goes into turn number 1. He's got one truck right in front of him in Dana Shepard. He just needs to clear him and see if he can set sail and get himself into the win column one more time here tonight and show these guys I mean business. I'm going to the championship run. I've got the top of the heap here, and it is Bradley driving away now with Thomas in second, trying to hold on and keep Haney at bay. And, well, at least he can get second.
Keith Bradley, what a run for this 29. Gotta think he was one of the fastest drivers running in second for the whole entire stage 1. And then once stage 1 came to a conclusion, came in for his pit stall, got service, was pacing, and with 1 to go, got disconnected from the server, went two, I think almost 3 laps down, was Keith Bradley, had to work through stage 2 and stage 3 to get back on the lead lap, got the caution that was needed there late. And now the 29 set sail to go for a win with 7 laps to go, but the battle for second is on It's Thomas, Haney, and Haney wants that second place position badly as he's right on the back bumper of Thomas, but it's the grip level here, Kevin, that's kind of lingering for these drivers on older tires.
Yeah, if you're Haney, you're just praying he slips up, but not in a way that blocks your progress going forward. And Haney just hustles it a little bit too much. He's scraping the outside wall. That's going to allow Thomas to drive away at all, but assuredly pick up that second position. Now, look at our podium finish potential there for Brandon Bullock in the Buck Kicker Chevrolet. Nice run for the 17, keeping his truck underneath him here. And with a handful of laps, he slides in and takes over that third position.
Brandon Bullock, a driver that came in with Keith Bradley for fresh tires, has been patient, slowly taking every position that has been gifted to him and waited for the big mistakes to strike. And they certainly did, as Haney still going to be there to watch out for. The pace for that of Bullock certainly is looking good, faster than Haney after Haney's mistakes. And right now, that's 17. As long as he doesn't make any mistakes with 5 laps to go, come to 4. Keith Bradley's looking good for a win, and Bullock's looking good to be one of our highest movers so far, 18 positions from where he qualified, and also trying to get one of his best finishes of the season.
Yeah, and I just got to say, as I look around the racetrack at where everybody else is, there's a battle going on back there. 10th position right now. Ed Osborne has it. The 5 of Klinkhardt wants it. The 2 of them have been scrapping for that position on the back straightaway over there, with Klinkhardt trying to look low and see if he can grab that position. Right in front of them is Dana Shepherd, who's come back to the lead lap, running 9th right now. And Klinkhardt going to get a good run through turn number 2 and cover that position. Relegate Osborne back 1. And, yep, just goes to show, it doesn't matter how many laps are left. If there's a position in the offing, I'm going to try and get it.
Too much damage. Gonna just drop low, giving those 2 spots away. And now back to 11th is the 43. It's Klinkhardt now going to be in 9th and 10th at Osborne as the drivers continue to race on for themselves. Up front, 2 laps to go. Keith the Animal Bradley, just such a run for himself. And Kevin, I mean, what a rebound and mental fortitude, a championship run, you could say, before the championship race next week.
Yeah, if you look at who's had the most speed, the most laps, the most consistency, and just shown as you come to the white flag, I'm here to win a championship. Bradley has lit the torch over the last number of races, and I was talking about Wade. Wade actually just dropped back to 6. Raul Meza able to drive her, not having a good run going into championship for the number 2.
No, he's going to need a little bit more, but with the Muppet animal on the side, he might have been going crazy at blinking out and disconnected at stage 2. Worked his way all the way through this race and wins is Keith the Animal Bradley, winning and sweeping both races of the Elite 8. And now with the biggest momentum going into our final race next week at Homestead, it's Keith Bradley getting the win here for the Over the Top Designs 200.
I just don't think any of us would have called that one. He would have dug himself deep hole and get another on the season. Good for Keith. He's going to be fun to talk to.
That is certainly going to be a wild one for himself. A great run for Keith Bradley. Stephen Thomas giving a little bit, wondering what else he could have tried to do to hold off Keith as Keith Haney gives a bump. And for this 29, this is going to be feeling good to burn it down here at Darlington. Winning with the throwback scheme, and certainly for Bradley doing a great job of coming in with more wins than everyone else as he gets to roll it to that of the start-finish line. He'll burn it down, and as Bradley does so, we're going to step aside real quick. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3. That Keith Bradley, Stephen Thomas, and Keith Haney, as we'll be back here on LSRTV for the post-race show with myself, Sam Dyer, for Kevin England. And again, big thanks to Freaky Fast Broadcasting producer, that of Robert Moyer, for stepping in tonight. We'll be back in just a few.
I think I'm getting dizzy.
I wanted that one really bad.
Yeah, you wanted it bad, really, really bad. Well, we'll talk to you in a
Me
second
too.
there, Steven. And we'll talk to you, Bradley, as we are here for the post race show for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. As this was the conclusion of the Elite Eight, a spectacular race of the unknown. But there were some fast drivers up there. One of them, third place runner Keith Haney. And we'll start with you, Keith. Came up, came up shy, got third. But man, what else do you think you could have done to at least take second place away from that of Stephen Thomas?
Man, I think I should have calmed it down there with about 20 laps to go. I really started driving a little over my head there. Yeah, about 15 laps to go. I think I scrubbed the wall a little. I don't think it really affected the truck none, but it just really showed that I was driving a little too hard trying to catch those guys. Once Keith Bradley came around and he checked out, I was kind of trying to just figure out what he was doing up there and copying his line, and it was helping me catch Steven, but a little too late.
Kevin, you got any questions here?
Yeah, Keith, congratulations on that third place finish. I want to take us back to the race that you had with Chris Cinnamon all night long. It had to be frustrating to watch him disappear at one point, but you guys put on a whale of a race.
It definitely was. He's my teammate out there, and I hated to see that happen to him. I think that he was pretty much going to win this thing tonight. Other than Keith Bradley coming back and stealing the show, I think, man, I hate that happened to him. I think he's not solidified yet. Correct? Keith Bradley is Ted Wade, and those are the only
Well,
two guys.
so Lumpkin was looking good to steal it away, but because of Lumpkin's wreck that he was involved in, as well as Chris Cinnamon getting more stage points, Chris is going to be making it to our final four.
Sweet, heck yeah, man, way to go!
Yeah, I know if Chris did not find himself get winning both those stages, he would have been in a lot more of a trickier spot. But you know, Keith Haney did a great job here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
And I want to thank Front Row for sure. John Hedrick, Over the Top, Keith Bradley, Ted Wade, Chris Cinnamon, you guys, Sam, Kevin. Man, I appreciate everything you guys do. I know you guys put in a ton of work at this, and it really shows. Hey, it's a pleasure to be here.
That's going to be the 78 of Keith Haney. And wait, you put on the shows, you make it fun for us at the booth. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to call these races as he'll come away with a third place finish and good luck going into Homestead next week.
Thank you.
As now we had to second place. Stephen Thomas talked about it, felt like he had a chance to win, but Stephen, you come up shy. But man, were you putting up a fight trying to hold off Keith Bradley? What else do you feel like you could have done, or was there a thought, maybe I'll just wipe this guy out because he won last week?
I'm surprised we didn't hear a little giggle on the come up shy, man. That's a little joke in our league. Stephen Thomas come up short. So I guess I'm pretty much used to it now, man. I was super pumped about the green flag pit stop we had. Came out a second ahead of Keith Haney, and at that point, obviously, unfortunately, Cinnamon was gone, and I had it locked up. As long as the caution didn't come out, man, I would have pulled away with this one. So it's definitely frustrating. Keith was in a perfect spot to be able to go in and get his last set of tires when I had already gotten mine. So he comes up with the victory.
Yeah, Steven, I would imagine you'd pay me a lot of tires in this race, but let's go back to the racetrack itself. How were the conditions out there tonight, and how much on the edge were you racing the truck?
Oh, I was on the edge pretty much all night. I mean, especially through one and two, man. You want to throw it in one and two and try to ride the wall up into a certain point to where you can let off just a little bit and get down in order not to hit the wall coming out of two. So yeah, you're on the edge, especially one and two. You're on the edge all night, pretty much in this truck. Especially if you want to run up front with these guys that are really fast. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun, man. If you lose concentration just for a second, you're hitting the wall hard.
Well, Stephen, it was a tough track here tonight. We're going to that of Homestead next week. You are, based off the points that I'm doing unofficially, you'd be moving on to the final four. So, how you feeling? Your chances are to win the championship going into next week.
I mean, I got a pretty good chance for sure. I'm always up here in the front. Um, so just got to, and honestly, I think it was season one or season two. I won Miami the last time we were there, so hopefully I can go back to back in Miami and take a championship, man. That's the goal. Feel pretty good about it.
Well, you certainly have a great shot at it, especially with coming second place here. We know that win is coming for you, Steven, to get your second one of the season. Hopefully it comes next week. Well, good luck on that. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I want to thank you guys first, man, for the broadcast and all the hard work you guys put in. Triple M Pulling, Over the Top Designs, Blanchard Towing, Butt Kicker, Brady, and all the admins involved. My sponsors, Family Handyman, Powerhouse, Higgy's House of Power, um, and my teammates, Adam Cantwell, Devin, Logan's no longer with us, but I want to thank all those guys for the practice and hard work they put in this season. And I want to thank, man, I always forget doing this. My grandma, Joanne, I want to thank her, man. She has watched every race, I think, for the past 3 seasons. So I want to give a shout out to my grandma for watching all these races and rooting for me. And that's it, man. Appreciate it.
That is going to be Stephen Thomas coming away with second place finish here tonight. Looks like unofficially he'll be making it into our final four. Congratulations on that and a fabulous season, and good luck going into the championship race next week.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Well, as we head over to the butt kicker victory lane, a person who's gotten pretty familiar to this spot now. I mean, earlier in the season, it was only super speedways, but Keith Bradley, from a miracle, was at 1.2 laps down after stage one, got disconnected to now victory lane. I mean, Keith, come away with a little bit of luck there, but man, what was going through your mind when that late caution came out and you were on the lead lap?
Uh, Man, honestly, I screamed pretty loud, and I think I woke my kids up. But I was so excited to see it come out because I figured, okay, I'm gotta be the only one on old top with a set of tires in the pit, so it couldn't have happened at a better time. And I really want to thank Stephen Thomas, man. He kept it so clean there, and he could have turned me at any point, and that was probably the hardest me and him has raced in a very long time, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, Keith, there was a pivotal moment in the racetrack where you went into turn three, you guys swapped positions, and just take us back through that. How tight was it over there coming off of turn number four?
So we were pretty tight there, door to door, and as I came into three the first time when I got loose and I tagged him, I thought we were screwed. And then the second time I kind of backed my entry up a little bit and dove to the dotted lines there on the inside of the corner, and it stuck. And I'm surprised it actually stuck that good. But then again, I was on 12 lap fresher tires, so it helped a lot.
That it certainly did. And, Keith, you've swept the Elite Eight. You won at Richmond. You win here today at Darlington. Coming in with the most momentum out of everyone. How are you feeling going into that of the Elite, going into the Final Four, racing at Homestead, the only official locked in driver coming into this race? How are you feeling with that pressure of that you're going potentially could go for a 3-win streak?
Man, I feel pretty good because I feel like I hit a walk off tonight. I feel like I came in pretty clutch to go from 2 laps down to on the lead lap when it counted, and it really paid off. And I feel really good going into Homestead. I know Steven's going to be tough. He won there, I think, 2 seasons ago, so we got our work cut out there. But I think we'll be fine. I feel like I'm just going to ride this momentum into Homestead, and we'll see how it plays out from there.
Well, Keith, a great run for yourself. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to shout out John Hedrick from Over the Top Designs. He keeps us looking fresh, and Michael McKinnon. He actually painted this truck for me at the beginning of the season, and I figured now's a perfect time to run it since we were at Darlington. I want to thank of course, Over the Top Designs, Racer Apparel, Abruzzi Racewear, Winter Circle Pizzeria, Elite Performance Industries. You guys for doing all this for us, and Stephen Thomas for racing me pretty clean there, and everybody at NASRA, my teammates, Keith Haney, Ted Wade, Chris Cinnamon, they're a lot of help through the week when we're practicing and stuff. And Brady for putting in the hard work, and Mike McKinnon with Triple M Polling.
That's going to be Keith Bradley coming away with the win here tonight. The most momentum going into Homestead next week. Congratulations on the win and good luck going into your championship race next week.
Thank you, Sam.
Well, from talking to our top three drivers here this evening at the Over the Top Designs 200 at Darlington, we'll take a look at where these drivers have unofficially finished here this evening, because there's a lot of drivers that are happy and there's a lot that are upset on where they finished, as looking like it unofficially, the four drivers that came into this race points wise, looking like they're going to be the four that move on to our final four. That being Keith Bradley with his 2 wins officially locked in, Ted Wade based off points, Stephen Thomas based off points, and Chris Cinnamon still looming on if he's good enough on points. We'll wait for the official call here shortly as we take a look at our unofficial results. Keith Bradley getting the win with Stephen Thomas, Keith Haney going to be in third, with Brandon Bullock going to be with 4th place. Great run for the 17. Same can be said for the 93 of Raul Meza, Ted Wade in 6th. Taylor Peacock recovering after of all his incidences in 7th. Jacob Klinkhart going to be coming in 8th, with that at Osborne in 9th, and 10th place going to be James Morris.
Eric Zimmerman going to finish 11th. Huck Wiggins hangs in there for a 12th tonight. 13th for Cody Knott. Daniel Shepard, not the night he wanted, finishes 14th, 5 laps in arrears. 15th for Justin Lumpkin in the 87. Chris Cinnamon struggles to a 16th place finish after connection issues. 17th tonight for Robert Richards. Adam Newbert hangs on for 18th. 19th for Brady LaBeouf, and it's Joey Doucette in the 16th, finishing 20th.
Crazy race that we had here at Darlington. A driver that at one point was 2 laps down in the middle of stage 2 comes away with the win. A wild one for sure, but Kevin, it's going to be even crazier going into next week. Points are no longer the factor. It's all about finishing ahead of your other 3 competitors for our final 4 to win the championship, on top of trying to win a race. What are your final thoughts here tonight? And as well, what are your thoughts going into next week at Homestead?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a bad race at Darlington. Standing, if we do the math for next week, instead, multiple lanes, progressive banking, drafting, pit strategy, fuel strategy, and 400 drivers trying to get a championship. I can't imagine how you could pick a better venue for their final race of season 4, and we'll be here to see how it all shakes down next week with the NASRA truckers.
Season 4 has been a wild one overall. A lot of hard racing, a lot of drivers putting down and being put through the gauntlet of trying to survive every single race that is put in front of them. And it certainly is looking like Keith Bradley could be the favorite going into next week, but we certainly have seen Ted Wade have some strong suits. Stephen Thomas has looked strong, and Chris Cinnamon, probably the biggest underdog going into that of Homestead. The storylines are building, and we'll tell you all about it next week, as it's going to be the last race of season 4. Who's getting the championship done at Homestead? We'll find out. For myself, Sam Dyer, for that of Kevin England, and as well for that of Robert Moyer from Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for coming in last minute, Robert. I know that this was very last minute for himself, but major thanks to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We hope to have Charles Wooten back next week, healthy and prepared for production of the final race of the season for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Season 4. Well, for LSRTV side of things, we're not done for this weekend. We've got that of going to be seeing the drivers at Le Mans for a 2.4 mile endurance race. It's going to be a good one. It's the major series. We are going to be having ourselves a giant group of drivers that are going to come out and put on a show for that of the America's Sportsman Split. It's going to be a fun one overall, but if we don't see you on that of Sunday, we'll see you next week. Championship racing, the final 4. Who's getting season 4 championship? We'll find out at Homestead. Have a good one, everybody.